panel for joining us today. We have Brian and Darlene, MUSA SOE school reps. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Brian. I am the School of Engineering male representative at MUSA from Monash, Malaysia, and I'm studying software engineering, currently in my year 2.
Yep.
Darlene, on to you.
So my name is Darlene. I am I am the female representative from MUSA SOE. I am currently in my second year doing mechanical in Malaysia.
Okay, thank you guys. And from MES, we have Will, the academic director, Sally, the Wellbeing and Equity Director, and Gunsha, the Wellbeing and Equity Officer. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name's Will. I'm the academic director at MES, and I study robotics and mechatronics, specializing in automation, and I'm in my third year at Monash Clayton.
Hi, my name's Sally. I'm the Wellbeing and Equity Director on MES. I'm in my second year and studying chemical engineering.
Hi, my name's Gunsha. I'm in my second year as well. I'm studying mechatronics and robotics and hoping to go into robotics and AI.
Thank you, Miss. So, next slide, please.
Alright.
So the purpose of this event is to give students from both Malaysian and the Clayton campus a brief guide to engineering lifestyle in both our campuses, our organizational structure, some of the events and initiatives we have organized in the past, and a short campus tour video. So before we start, we would like the audience to scan the QR code and post any questions you have about our campuses, like what are some of the best hangout places to some of the best hangout spots on campus and how to balance academics and extracurriculars. We will give you 10 seconds to scan the QR. So, yes. So we will answer the questions that you guys will post during our Q&A session towards the end of the event. So stay tuned and enjoy the event. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are some of the questions and some of the topics that we will be covering in today's event. Next slide. So, without further ado, let's get started. So starting off, we have the fun facts about both our organizations. So I will pass on the floor to MES. They will be sharing some fun facts about their organization.
Hey, yeah, so we are MES, which stands for the Monash Engineering Student Society, and we are the largest club here at Monash Clayton. And yeah, so basically, quick rundown, couple of fun facts. We like to run events for people in all areas of engineering, whether it's first years or whether it's something that's more helpful for someone later looking for a job or an internship. We are sponsored by over 40 companies, and they come along to our industry events and we get them to talk to students. And we also like to collaborate with other clubs here at Monash, most notably the Science Society. As we notice, there's lots of overlaps in people who do science and engineering degrees. But we also do some more obscure ones, like we've got an event coming up that's a collaboration with the Dodgeball Society. So that'll be a lot of fun. And it's just a really great way that we can get engineering people to meet people that they might have not met otherwise inside their degree.
Okay, thank you, Will. So now I'll be passing on the floor to MUSA SOE to share some fun facts about our organization.
Yep. So we are MUSA SOE, and it's also an engineering committee. We cover a variety of events like Distress Night, Big 12 Distress Night, orientation, um, events, mathematic competition, and also a few fundraising activities that we do as part of our volunteering work.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So now I'll be sharing some common facts between both MES and MUSA SOE. So both our organizations, we run some distress events. MUSA SOE will be doing it in week 12. So do join the event. It'll be very useful and helpful for you guys because engineering is really stressful, right? So don't forget to join our distress nights. And also both MES and MUSA, we have a lot of engineering committees and we cover a lot of events throughout the year. So moving on, next slide please.
Right.
Now I will be passing on the floor to MES to give us a brief idea about their organizational structure.
I think Sally might be frozen, so I'm happy to go. So we run a pretty simple system and little structure. So obviously we have our executives, and they are the president, vice pres, treasurer, secretary, and then we obviously have all of our directors for each portfolio. And they're in charge of managing each portfolio and understanding what needs to be done and what we can improve on in mass as in general. Our general portfolios include, we've got the general portfolio, our treasury portfolio, the marketing, academic, industry, social, and wellbeing and equity. And they all cover like a various range of stuff. And wellbeing and equity is a really good addition that we've had recently, and Sally and I are very, very proud to be part of it.
Thank you, Guncha. So I see MES has a very huge organizational structure compared to MUSA SOE. So with that, we'll be moving on to, next slide please. We'll be moving on to our organizational structure of MUSA SOE. So now I'll be passing on the floor to MUSA SOE.
Yeah. All right. So maybe a difference between how MUSA SOE functions is that it's really not a club. It's quite different from how MES operates. So we are more of a department where we serve as a bridge between the students, the engineering student community in Monash, Malaysia, and also the faculty. So we mediate between them in terms of academics and also their welfare. So we have a relatively small committee. We have two sort of co-presidents that Brian and we are also named the school rep. We also have 10 community members under us who are all serving in various and different departments that aim to help and contribute to the events that we are planning for. In total, we only have about 12 members of us. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Darlene. So next slide. So before we move on, we'd like the audience to scan the QR and post your questions here. We will be answering them in our Q&A session. So do stay tuned. Next slide. So moving on, the next topic we'll be covering is our life on campus. So I'll be passing on the floor to MES for them to share their personal experience and give us a brief idea about how life on campus is.
Yeah, awesome. So Monash Clayton, it's huge. It's like a village. So we have most of our engineering classes in the Woodside building, which is shown bottom left photo. We've also got our campus centre where there are a whole bunch of cafes and places to eat. Also a huge open area. There's the N1 car park, which we like to coin the engineering car park because it's located right next to the Eng section of the campus. We've also got the Learning and Teaching building next to the bus loop. It's a really modern building, got lots of engineering classes there. And then we've got my personal favourite place, or it might be my second personal favourite place, the Hargrave Andrew Library, which is commonly known as HAL if you take the acronym of that. Essentially, this is like our engineering library. And the second floor of the HAL, you don't get much done. You just sit there and chat with your mates, and it's really good fun. But my favorite place on campus would definitely be our office. So we have our mess office, which we conjoin to make it the MOF. It's the smallest office that a club has or a society has on campus, despite being the biggest club. But it's very cozy, and yeah, it's a lovely space to be in.
That'll be featuring later in our campus tour video.
Okay, thank you guys. That was very nice, very detailed. So now we'll be moving on to MUSA SOE. Please share your personal experience on campus and generally how life on campus is.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Go
Devaney.
ahead, Brian.
Okay, sure. Sure. I will speak a bit about like the student accommodation first before moving on to my personal preference. So on campus, within 5 minutes walking distance, we have a student accommodation, known as SMR as well. So the students there will most likely wake up about 5 minutes or 10 minutes before classes, but they can still make it on time because it's within walking distance. And we also have our shuttle services in Sunway. They are free of charge and they are really convenient because um, our campus is located in a city, so the buses will be really convenient when it comes to traveling. We also have a bridge that links to the nearest shopping mall within 15 minutes of walking distance. Um, so yeah, students normally take the bridge during lunch hours or during the break to walk to the shopping mall with their friends. We also have a variety of food options on campus in our cafeteria, and there's also different cafeteria on campus. So yeah, there's a lot of cuisines like Chinese, Malay, Indian, or even Western. So yeah, my personal preference, being on campus, would be in the office as well, same as Sally, because it's really cozy and yeah, it's really quiet sometimes as well. That's where you can get the work done. Yeah, Devlin, on to you.
Yeah. So just maybe a fun fact about us Malaysian students is that shopping malls are a really big thing here. So whenever we want to hang out with friends, like just after classes or whatever, we were just like, hey, do you want to go to Sunway? And so we'll just like hop onto the shuttle service and we'll just go there and spend the rest of the day. If we're not grinding our studies or stuck in the lab. Yeah. Other than that, I think we really appreciate our variety of our food here because uh, we have a lot of combination of a lot of races here in Malaysia, and so we kind of really coexist. And some racism does that major of a issue in our kind of age group, and so we really just enjoy a lot of our different similarities and differences, and also the major thing that we all always bond over is food. So yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, thank you guys. That was very nice. A lot of fun activities, and yeah, it was very detailed, both MES and MUSA. So yes, we'll be moving on to the next topic. Next slide. which is some of the events and initiatives that we have covered in the past. So we have MES. We'll give the floor to you.
Yeah, so I guess you could break up the events and initiatives run by MES into four main categories, which is our four big portfolios, including social, academic, industry, and wellbeing and equity. So some of the events that we run as part of the social portfolio are our big ones, and that includes stuff like the engineering ball that we throw every year in semester 2, or our first year's camp, which is a really great way for first year engineering students to meet other people and make friends throughout this degree. We also run a cocktail night and trivia nights as well. And then moving on to academic, some of the events and initiatives we have there are we work to publish an education guide, which is essentially like a guide to for first years to sort of help them navigate all the challenges that might come with adapting to starting at university. We also run a student experience feedback survey, which is essentially a way that students can evaluate their units and provide useful feedback to their unit coordinators and their teachers. And then moving on to our industry events, the main ones we have are the Careers Guide launch. So the Careers Guide launch is kind of like the education guide, but well, it's for industry. So it's something that students who are maybe in their later years can look at to see what sort of companies are out there and what internship or grad role options that they may have. And we also have a Careers Guide launch night for that, where they can meet some of those companies. And we have another industry networking night called Beers with Engineers, which is where we go to a place in the city and you can grab a drink with some industry reps. And finally, some of the events and initiatives we have for wellbeing and equity includes our brand new podcast, which is co-hosted by Sally here and Jasmine, who's one of our general representatives. And as said before, we run the De-Stress with MES events, which is also done by the Wellbeing and Equity portfolio. And we did fun stuff in that. Like last year, we did some origami, which was a good way to decompress a bit when studying engineering. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, I'd say.
Sally and Guncho, do you have anything to add on about the podcast, maybe, or any personal preference on events? Like, what's your favorite events that you have attended so far?
I would definitely say camp. I was a first year last year, and camp was by far one of the best events that MES ran. It was just so good to go into a course that I didn't really have any friends in and come out of camp, which is just 2 days, and have so many friends. And it was so nice to go into classes the week later and actually know people on my table rather than just sitting with random people every week. But yeah, I would definitely say that. Sally?
I completely agree. Camp was so much fun. It's where I met all my mates. And then just with our podcast, which is also really good fun, we've been interviewing some of our sponsors, so some of our industry representatives. We've been interviewing unit coordinators and professors. So yeah, we've learnt lots from these interviews, and we hope that we can give all of our Eng members also this information and just have a fun time as we're doing it.
I see. Thank you, guys. Thank you, MES. I see that you guys have a lot of events that you all have covered in the past, and you'll have your own podcast. That's very interesting. So students who are planning on going to Monash, Australia for the next semesters or in the future, I hope you guys can also join in these events in the future. So moving on, next slide. So now I'll be passing on the floor to Brian to give us a sneak peek of some of the events that we have covered, especially the engineering mathematics competition and the Buddy Buddy Night in Malaysia.
Yeah, thanks, Atika. So we have a lot of different events as well. If I can count it on, I think it's about 14 or 10 plus events per semester. So it's actually a lot to cover. So just recently we had our engineering maths competition. So it was a live round, and we invited like lecturers from our faculty over to judge like students and look at their working and how it turned out. So yeah, it was pretty interesting and also very tiring to plan out everything. But it was definitely worth it, I think. And we also have our buddy night, which is supposed aim for year one, semester one students who just joined Monash. Um, so it's more like a mingle session for them to know their peers and also get to like get some advice from seniors and also mentorship opportunity from seniors as well. Yeah, pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So, Buddy Night, actually, I was the officer who was organizing the event, and I was the event coordinator. So, I would just add a few words about the Buddy Night. It was actually very much very interesting, and a lot of fun activities were done. A lot of mentors from senior years got to meet their mentees from the freshies, and yeah, they got to exchange a lot of details and info about engineering. Yeah, it was very fun night. And yes, if you guys are new to Monash Malaysia, so I would advise you guys to join our mentorship program next semester as mentors. So moving on, we have our next two events covered by MUSA SOE, which will be our orientation and engineering exploration and distress night. So now I'll be passing on the floor to Darlene to give us some idea about these events.
Yeah. All right. So, usually what we hold in like week 0, before our semester starts, we have this event called ONEE Day, which in long form stands for Orientation and Engineering Exploration Day. Why it's named this way is because this is done in collaboration with there's an umbrella club in Monash, Malaysia. It's called MUMAC. Long form is Monash University Malaysia Engineering Club. So they are an umbrella club in Monash, Malaysia, which actually has 13 engineering clubs under them. So we do a collaboration with them to kind of publicize and also introduce all these engineering clubs to the engineering students before the semester begins, so they kind of know what is available for them before academics kick in and the stress kicks in. Then they can actually explore their options in terms of extracurricular wise. And also we host some lab tours that basically a campus tour and also lab tours for the students. This was also done in collaboration with another engineering club. It's called EAMMSS, and long form. Well, I mean Malaysia. Monash really loves all these abbreviations. EAMMSS stands for Engineers Australia Monash Malaysia Student Society. Yeah, so I would say that this year we hosted our own ONEE Day for our semester 1. It was quite a success in terms of how we combine both the lab tours and also the introducing all the engineering clubs to the students. And it was quite one of our big event of the semester. Now moving on, from the start of the semester, we also have something to also kind of wrap up the semester with something called our distress night. So it's really just to unwind and de-stress. So we have a variety of options for students to enjoy. Last year, what we did for semester 2 was that the previous committee, they organized this one. It's usually held on the week 12. So they did this in collaboration with the School of IT Club and not club, School of IT and School of Pharmacy, where they hosted 3 things: a movie night, at the same time a karaoke night, and also a game lounge, all at the same time. So the students could just like they were a spot for choice on what they could do to enjoy and just de-stress for the last day of the semester. And okay, exams kick in and they have to suffer again. So yeah, okay, that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Darlene and Brian, for very detailed explanation about the events that we have covered in the past. So, Distress Night is happening in Victor. So, guys, please join our Distress Night, and it's meant for everyone in engineering. You can just bring over your friends and forget about your assignments and reports just for that day, that night, and yeah, distress, unwind, and have some fun with your friends, and meet some new people, your seniors, and yeah, enjoy yourselves. So yes, thank you guys. And next, moving on. So here we come to the campus tour videos. So this is what all they have been talking about for the past half an hour or so, all the events, initiatives, life on campus. So now you get to visualize it. And here you go. So we have the video from Monash, Australia and Malaysia. Do enjoy.
Alrighty, so this is just me walking through Monash campus. I'm headed over to Woodside, but I thought I'd stop by the mess office before I go.
Knock knock.
So the mess office is the Monash Engineering Student Study office. We have a microwave and toaster machine, all our awards and pictures. It's where the committee hang out and where students can get help. You can see I'm filling out one of our weekly surveys, and now I'm headed down one of Monash's many pathways, past one of our state-of-the-art computer labs and into another committee member.
Hello. Slay.
After a quick hello, I was headed to Woodside but was stopped in my tracks by the smell of a barbecue wafting over the basketball court next to me. And if the Environmental Committee is offering free snags, as many committees often do during the first week of uni, then of course I'm gonna grab one. It's delicious. Anyway, I've finally headed over to Woodside, and I stopped by the mess store, which is open during our first week. Back at uni, we're selling our merch, we're advertising some of our events and the types of things mess does. There's me and meet the committee, and I'm finally headed inside Woodside because I need somewhere to sit down and enjoy my sausage sizzle. Now, one of the first things you're going to see when we walk into Woodside is our big collaborative learning space. You can see there's a lecture on at the moment, so I'm trying not to film too much, and one of our tiered sitting areas. After I've enjoyed my lunch, I've headed over to the building directory just to double check where one of my classes is later on in the week. I am really proud of Monash because a lot of their resources, such as directories like this, are really clear and really helpful. There's also another app on the App Store called Lost on Campus that myself and other students use regularly to find their way around. Library. So we're arriving at Hargrave Andrew Library now, and as you'll see on my right, I've just run into Tom. I would say my absolute favourite place to study on campus is the Hargrave Andrew Library. I always run into all my friends there. It has great computers, great staff, great levels of study spaces. There's quiet and loud and also collaborative. There's also heaps of charging ports, heaps of engineering textbooks, and a printer that you can even print to from your mobile phone. Now at this point, my mate has texted me that he's 10 minutes away from campus. Believe it or not, this was actually my first time in the Matheson Library, and they had a whole cafe on the first floor. The learning spaces were also absolutely beautiful, but I couldn't get much video just because people were studying. But even with this limited video, you can totally see that this is an amazing space. I mean, this sculpture thing was just out the front door. The Learning and Teaching building sits opposite the Menzies building and is a beautiful place to study regardless of whether or not your classes are scheduled there. As you can see, this building is huge and there are stairs. But this place is filled with amazing study spaces. There are the spaces of beanbags and the slightly more enclosed places, all with abundant charging ports. There are also state-of-the-art classrooms with whiteboards on the table for collaborative learning. I had to rush off to my next class, which was in the Learning Village, a place where I'd never had a scheduled class before. Even though I'd never been to this building before, I could still tell it was Monash by the beautiful architecture. I said goodbye to Tyler and headed off to my class for the day. This was actually my first in-person class for 2023, and the classroom it was held in was pretty typical for a Monash classroom. The class I'm attending today is a workshop, so we were encouraged to work together, answer questions out loud to the class, and work on a few practice questions. You can see here how I'm using my iPad to write notes and my laptop to view lecture slides. Here I am answering a question with one of the classroom microphones, and here I am hoping that I got it right in front of everyone. I actually met one of my assignment group partners for the first time, so we decided to work together on a lot of the questions that we faced in this class.
Hey guys, welcome to Monash Malaysia. I am Darylyn, the female school rep for MUSA School of Engineering. Let's show you around some interesting places on campus. To start off, I will take you to the MUSA office. Welcome to MUSA SOE office, shared with the other 7 schools in Monash, Malaysia. And here we have our little SOE corner. Now we'll show you a glimpse of our everyday lifestyle and perspective at lecture halls, labs, and classes on campus.
Okay, so that was a very long video of actually not very long. It was a short video of both the campuses, and did give us a proper tour of most of the places, some of the important places, the classrooms, and yeah, we also met a few students from MES in the video. So I hope it was helpful for those who are planning on going to the other campus, either from Monash, Malaysia to Australia or vice versa. So yeah, moving on, we have come to the most awaited part of today's event. That is a Q&A session between Mes and Musa. So starting off, we'll have our first question, which will be directed towards Mes. What are some of the best places to group study on campus?
I would say HAL, like Sally mentioned earlier, the Hargrave Andrew Library. Level 2 is definitely a collaborative level. There's a lot of talking going on there. But no, all the tables are like close together, so you can have like multiple people on one table. And there are power outlets, which is always very handy. We also have rooms that you can book that have like whiteboards on the tables and on the walls. And they're in the other library that Anna mentioned as well, the Robert Blackwood Library. Honestly, I have definitely done a bit of group study in the mess office as well. I'm not sure how productive that was, but it was a favourite place. And any other places would be even just outside when the weather's good, and even in Woodside.
I find the LTV is pretty good as well, the learning and teaching building, because there's so many floors that if you go up like a few floors, there's usually like a whole room that'll be free and you can just claim it and study there with your friends. Or not study.
I see. Okay, so Musa, SOE, what do you guys have to say about our campus? What do you suggest are some of the best places to have a group study?
I think like the popular choice would be the Hive, which is similar to what Max mentioned just now. It's like a collaborative study area for students. So there's also whiteboard that you can also drop down notes if you are like planning group project, stuff like that. But personally, I would say it's in the office as well because I usually spend a lot of time there. So yeah, I would also like study sometimes there. David?
Well, I spend most of my time on campus in classes. Doing mechanical engineering, my schedule is pretty demanding. So I would say if I have any free time to slot in between my classes to do any studying, it'll probably be trying to find any of those empty tutorial rooms and just like sneaking in and like doing my work there. So I don't really have a preference in terms of best places to study, but I think a very common place that a lot of the students in Monash Malaysia likes is definitely the Hive.
Or the library.
Or the library.
But yeah, library it's a quiet zone. So
Yeah. Also, I would say, library third floor. We got some rooms that you can book beforehand, and also have some group study there. Do your group projects and assignments. Even like Darlene mentioned, sneak into a classroom if it is free, and then if there's no classes happening at that time, if it's a weekend or something, you can do that as well. Even the cafeteria is a good option, but it's a bit noisy, so I wouldn't suggest like a good study place. But yeah, it is also an option. So the next question we have for our mess is, what advice would you give to first year students who are transitioning from high school to uni life?
Would definitely encourage them to just get involved. So I didn't know anyone from my high school going into the degree that I was going into, didn't know many people going to Monash. And then I just started going to mess events and other club events, and I found a community and I just loved it. I met so many friends, and it made transitioning, because it is a big transition, so much easier. And it meant that people could help me out if I was struggling, whether it be academically or anything. I just think it was reaching out and going to all these uni events was just such a great decision.
Okay, so MUSA SOE, what do you guys have to say about that?
Evan, do you want to go first?
Okay. I think that yes, I definitely agree with Sally there in terms of getting involved, because you really get to spend more time aside from academics and learning and knowing other people when you are, say, probably working in the same community, or not, if you're not working together, then just having fun. You really get to just know more about students outside of classes. So yeah, really do get involved with probably a lot of events, or even taking part is joining club committees. So I think that if you get to work together as well, you experience the ups and downs of organizing events or being part of different initiatives together, going through the rewarding times and also the not so rewarding times together. I think that really helps to build bonds with other people. So yeah, on first year also, you're probably the most free, even though the first year students might beg to differ. But really, trust us, first year is really the easiest. So make the full use of your time, trying to be the most involved with as many clubs as you can.
Yeah, for me, I would say to get help from seniors if you know any seniors, because they would have advice, like specific advice, or even general advice, like course advices to you. So yeah, but other than that, I would also agree with Sally and Darlene here that you should join like the extracurricular activities that the school has, and even though it might be like tiring at times and even stressful sometimes to plan events or even join events when you are not so free. But I would say it's definitely rewarding at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Musa. So the next question we have is, what is your advice to transfer students who are struggling to adapt? So I'll be passing on the floor to Miss.
I'd recommend joining the Monash University's International Student Society, because they obviously have a whole cohort of students in the same boat. And obviously it must be difficult to transfer from like Malaysia to Australia or Australia to Malaysia. And I would also recommend, MES does have a Discord server, and we have a little server in the server that caters towards international students, and we also have one that's specific for Malaysian students. And that's just really good to have like other people going through what you're going, and like sharing your struggles, sharing different things that you've learnt about uni in Australia and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss. So Musa SOE, what would be your advice for transfer students?
I would say transfer is. I don't think any Australian students transfer to Malaysia, but there's a lot of exchange students to Malaysia. So, like my advice would be to join like certain events that. Oh, sorry, this is about struggling. In that case, it would be to ask, like for example, lecturers, um, if it's like cost struggling in a certain course or certain units, I would say approach the lecturer, and even though like the lecturers don't like to email sometimes, but I would say yeah, approach the lecturer if you have any problems, and also try to make friends with same your classmates, or the people who are doing the same units, because ultimately you guys will be working together on the same unit. So yeah, that's about it.
Darling, would you like to add on some advice to that?
I think I agree with the second part that Brian said about just from my personal experience, in terms of if I'm struggling, and not this that doesn't just extend to transfer students, but just to all students in general. Like if you're studying and you're struggling, um, really reach out to your classmates, especially like if you are working in the same groups or teams. Then I would think that they are the closest people that you can ask for help, because you know the same content and you are struggling with the same problem, so they would definitely relate and understand where you're coming from. So I think that what you need to do is that you need to be open about what you're struggling with, and also don't be afraid to be sometimes vulnerable in telling what you're struggling with, because if people don't know, then you can't get help. So it's definitely okay to reach out if you need the help. And um, what was I going to say? I forgot on at a point, but yeah, I think we can move on.
Yeah, thank you, Darlene. As an international student who is in Malaysia, I would say at the very beginning of my first year, it was a bit difficult to like adapt to the new conditions and a whole new environment altogether. So, what I would suggest is, from my personal experience, do join clubs and societies, put yourself out there, get to know people, and there'll be a lot of friends who are also struggling and they won't also know what to do, so you guys can get together and help each other out. There are some past sessions that are being conducted throughout the semester. If you are in Monash, Malaysia, we have peer assisted group studies, so where your seniors will be covering certain topics as revision material, do some past questions. So don't worry, everything will work out fine. So yeah, you put yourself out there, ask questions. So just like everyone mentioned just now, Brian, Darlene, Ganshaw, everyone. So yeah, do follow the advice. Okay, next question we have is, how important do you think communication is between lecturers and students? Mess?
Yeah, I think it's super important. I know that Monash has a lot of avenues in most cases for communication between lecturers and students, but really, like, as a student, when you're struggling with the subject, I think the lecturer should be the person that you can go to be like, hey, I need to learn the content for this class. What's the best way I can do that? Or I'm behind, or I'm not going to be able to do this assignment. And at Clayton, we have lots of ways that you can actually communicate straight to your lecturers. You can send them an email. You can post a question on a discussion forum. All the units have a discussion forum up on Moodle that you can use to ask questions, and some of them have other anonymous forums that you can use to ask questions of your lecturers. And I think, yeah, it's a really great thing that I see in lots of classes, not all of them, unfortunately, but lots of classes do it quite well, where there is that communication between lecturer and student. And I think it really can help not just the students get an understanding of the course, but like the lecturer to get an understanding of the students and their needs, and try and help them out as much as they can and make sure that they are learning.
Yeah, just to quickly add on to Will as well, we do also have the Student Experience Feedback Survey, or SEFs as we shorten it too. And that's just a really great way for you guys to give feedback back after a unit is done or midway in a unit. And that's just done anonymously, which is really good if you want to, maintain that distance. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to communicate between a lecturer and a student, and it can be done like individually or in a group, and there are so many different avenues to access that.
Okay, thank you, Guncha. So Musa, SOE, Brian, and Darlene, what do you guys? How important do you think communication is between the lecturers and students?
I'll start off first. I think it's like the most important thing when it comes to studies, to communicate with lecturer. So like, even though there's only so much you can, because for me, I am a software engineering student, and when it comes to coding, there's not a lot of things that you can actually show, like through email, like so, like where the lecturers would point out where the bug is in your code. So I would say, in terms of communication, physical consultation would be the best option out there in terms of getting actual advice on how to excel in your study. And also because then you'll be able to look through, the lecturer will be able to look through your code and find where the bug is. Then you kind of get the upper hand when it comes to your grades. Yeah. So yeah, I would say personal consultation sessions, but I'm not too sure if like Clayton has those in. Do Clayton has have personal consultation sessions? No.
Yeah, no, we do. We also have, as someone was mentioning before, the PASS, the peer assisted study sessions. That's something we have as well. So yeah, there are a few options that we run for students who are falling behind and needing a way to catch up in units. But yeah, consultation, like I think most units do it, just like a couple hours throughout the week where you can go in and actually talk through problems with lecturers.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds great. Yeah, that's for me. Darlene, how about you?
I'm not sure how active Australian students are on using the Moodle forum, because to be honest, Malaysian students are really not active on using the forum at all. At least not the one place on Moodle. I think that the best approach that most Malaysian students would probably use is either we schedule the personal consultation, which is the online, like Brian said. Whereas for me, because most of my classes are physical or have resumed to physical classes anyway, so I think the best approach for I think students like me would probably be to just be interactive in classes and ask my professors or lecturers as and when I see them physically. Actually, I just get fastest feedback that way, and I also get to know them much better when I'm up close and up front with them. Then they also get to know me a little bit more. So yeah, I'm not sure if forum is to go for us here. Email is definitely one way, but there have been cases when some lecturers don't see or they miss out on certain emails. So I would say is finding them physically. Yeah.
Yeah. So adding on to everyone's ideas, I think we also have some feedback surveys that run throughout the semester. We have the early semester feedback. I think it's already done for Monash Malaysia. We also have SETU for both Malaysia and Australia. So do put your feedback for the units so that your lecturers get to know what areas they should improve on, or what areas that you find that are actually done really well. So that communication is very important for your cohort and also for the batches that are going to come in the future. So, okay, I will now pass on the floor to Miss. If you guys have any questions for MUSA SOE, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Wellbeing and Equity is our newest portfolio. Essentially, we aim to be inclusive of all engineers and support them right through their engineering degree and respond to their needs. We were just wondering if you guys had initiatives, like I know you mentioned your de-stress nights, but maybe some other initiatives that might have that similar aim.
Yeah, so we have initiatives like events in our second semester that promote inclusivity, more specifically in to promote like empower women in engineering, because in Malaysia campus there's not a lot of women studying in engineering. So like the event that we're planning is a women conference night, and also women conference, and also a career series. So I think women conference would be that event.
Apart from that, we also do have a year representatives program where we have a representative from each year and specialization, where they gather feedback from the students. But apart from just feedback, they also get to hear the issues or the problems that some students are actually struggling with, apart from their studies, also about their well-being in general. So I guess that's one of the ways that we tackle how inclusive the some of the students can be, so that whenever we hear maybe some social or issues, social issues or problems that the students are facing, particularly in our department, then if we have any opportunity to solve those problems, then we will do our best through whatever events that we have, or whether it's through mediation with the faculty or the lecturers. Then yeah, that's how we do it.
Okay, thank you, Brian and Darlene. Miss, do you guys have any more questions for MUSA SOE?
Yeah, so I've heard you guys talk a lot about the food and all the options that you have there. I would like to hear, what are your personal favorites? What are your go-tos in terms of like taste and like affordability?
In terms
Brian, go.
in terms of affordability, I would say it's the mixed rice that we have on in the cafeteria. So it's like very cheap. So that's, I would say, the food that like most students go with, because the portion isn't sufficient and the taste isn't bad either. So that's what we normally go with. But if you are aiming for a like more, you want it to be more tastier and stuff like that, then I would say go Western food would be the preferred option in Malaysia. And also because we don't have Malaysia is famous for laksa, curry laksa, asam laksa, stuff like that. But we don't have it on campus, so students normally just go with mixed rice. But if you during the semester break and during the holidays, then the students will travel outside from campus to buy those food. Yeah. So yeah.
That's Brian. I don't know why you prefer the mixed rice, because not for me. I mean, in terms of affordability, it's cheap. But if you want to go for taste, I think that there are pretty good options on campus that are quite affordable as well. But I would say if you want it to be both cheap and also tasty, we would usually venture out of campus. We would probably take like a 5-minute walk to there's like a closer like a, what is that, like a food court. Yeah, it's called food court. We call it the Rock. So they have a lot of the stalls there that sell just all sorts of cuisines. So I think what a lot of the Malaysian students like to order from there is the fried rice. They have like a famous fried rice there. So yeah, if you ever have the chance to come to Malaysia, I would recommend you try that. Other than that, then I think if you want a little bit more of an expensive option, you'll go for shopping malls. Like I said, shopping malls is a huge thing here. So we would go for like Japanese. They have ramen here. Really good like sushi stores also, and like they have those what is that, steamboat or barbecue. A lot of Malaysian students like Korean barbecue. So yeah, if you ever have the chance to try, I don't know if you have like I saw in your video that you guys have open air barbecue and grill for your events. That's really nice. Like we don't usually have that here in Malaysia. Probably the most that we have for barbecues is like all the how to say, the in restaurant where we grill the meat there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like it depends on how much time you have ultimately. So
Yeah.
yeah, because if you have enough time, then you can venture out from campus to those areas.
Yeah, maybe I could direct the question back at you guys, because I'm really interested in knowing what your food options are there, what your preferences are.
I personally, we have like this, right under the Hargrave Andrew Library, we have this amazing dumpling store. It is like, just thinking of it right now makes me hungry. Like it's so good. And it's also pretty affordable. Like it's not cheap, but it's not expensive. And we have like a couple like more mainstream restaurants like GYG, Schnitz. I think we have Sushi on campus as well. Sally or Will, do you guys have any input?
There's a Facebook page that you can follow called Monash Sausage Hunters for all campuses in Australia, and essentially it will outlay all the free food available on each day, depending on the week. There's always free food. There's always free food at Monash, and that's a go-to. So they've got there'll be like sausages, there'll be vegan schnitzels, which are so good, or like vegan, I don't want to call them chicken, but vegan satay things that I still don't know what they are, but they're so yum. And we have like barbecues where we have, it'll be like a souvlaki. It's just all of it's so good. So there's always free food on campus, and it always just brings joy to your day when you're walking on by, maybe you're a bit stressed, and then you see a barbecue that a club is running, and you just go and get free food. So yeah, it's always a highlight.
Does the queue get long, like in Clayton campus, when you're lining up?
Yeah.
That's long. Okay.
So, audience, please note that plus point for going to Monash Clayton, you get free food every day. Don't miss it out. I see. So you guys have a lot of options, and it's very intriguing. We feel like, just coming to Clayton for the food. Right. MUSA SOE, do you guys have any questions for Mess?
Yep. So the first question would be, what is like the hardest course that you think in Monash Engineering, like specialization? Sorry.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that's something that's kind of hard to define, because I feel like lots of the courses, I feel like they're all hard, but they're kind of just like hard in different ways. Like I'd say, like, from what I've heard, like maybe aerospace is probably one of the hardest, just because there's like lots of maths and everything. But like, I don't know, because like then I've also heard people say that like electrical's the worst, and because it's like the maths, but then there's also coding. But I feel like it kind of depends like who you are and like what sort of like what your strengths are, because you might, someone might tell you, oh, electrical's the hardest, but then like you might look at something like civil and be like, well, that sort of maths just doesn't make sense to me. So like I think I would find that the hardest. So I think it's like, I don't know if there's like a definite hardest engineering. But what do you guys think, Sally and Gucha?
Completely agree. Like, coding's just not for me, but I love the maths. So I prefer more of that side. Coding, I no. Like, it's just very dependent on the person and also what you're interested in, because I would prefer to like sit down and like hash out this equation and figure out what it actually means. And therefore I would get better at it. So it becomes, I guess, less hard. So yeah, I think it completely depends on the person.
So I'm glad that the way Monash does it is that the first year you try everything, because that way you can get a sense of what you like doing, but also get a sense of what you hate doing, and then be like, okay, cool, I'm not gonna major in that.
That's exactly how I chose my specialization, because I was like, there was a unit that was really similar to civil and mechanical engineering, and I was like, no, thank you, like, never.
Which are you doing mechatronics?
I know, but mechatronics is like a little bit of it. It's not like all of
Fair enough. Yeah.
On the topic of specialization, I know at Monash in Clayton we have a large number of students who go into civil engineering, and recently we've also had a bit of an uprise in mechatronics and also aerospace. What do you guys at Malaysia have like as your most popular specialization?
I think the most popular would be mechatronics in Malaysia, and the least would be, I think, software. I don't meet software people from software engineering on campus, so Yeah. Is it the same for Clayton as well?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
software
I don't think
cohort. Yeah,
many
very little.
software. I think it's because Clayton also offers like computer science and like IT courses as well. So people who might have done software would probably just do one of those instead. But yeah, it's definitely one of the least common ones, I'd say.
Right.
Do we have any more questions from Mes or Musa? Any of you guys have any questions?
I have one more question. To Mass,
Okay.
what is the best like student accommodation on near campus in terms of price, distance, and also convenience?
So,
I don't. Sal, do you want to go? Do you want me to
you
go?
go on. You go on,
Okay.
Butch.
So personally, I am looking to move out. So I have been sort of exploring those options. So I would definitely say any residence directly on campus, so stuff that Monash funds, is on the more pricey side. It's a bit more expensive, and obviously you can like there's different levels. So there'll be like cheaper options, but the rooms will be much more smaller, and then you'll have more expensive options, but with roomier or more rooms with lots of space. But if you are looking for accommodation, I would definitely recommend looking at renting near uni, so like in Clayton, Huntingdale, all the suburbs surrounding Monash, just because rent will be a lot less dear, and it gives you a little more flexibility in what you want. And obviously it does depend on your stay. There are a lot of factors, but there's also information on the Monash site if you want to explore more. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Okay, thank you.
I do
Beth.
have
Oh, yes.
maybe some questions from my end. It's just really simple questions, like in terms of, because we have kind of similar experiences of working in an organization or club, but at the same time also trying to juggle our academic life. So maybe just like some word of advice or how you guys do it, like how do you guys manage your academic life, extracurricular, and also just like your social life, because you don't want to burn out, or maybe you do. So what are some of your advice on that?
Google Calendar is good. I like Google Calendar because I have lots of things on. My Google Calendar is always full of blocks of color every week. So it's yeah, I think that definitely helps me stay on top of things. But aside from that, I think something that's helped me balance it well is, the fact that the groups of people that I meet in my involvement in clubs. I'm also on a student team as well, Monash Nova Rover, and we all do engineering. So it's like the subjects we do, there's lots of overlap with the people that I know from those groups, and the people that are doing the classes that I'm doing. So it's sort of like, I feel like that really helps me balance it, because there's people who are in similar situations to me who are doing the same subjects that can help me work through and stay on top of everything. Sorry, my laptop is about to die. Sally and Good Show, do you guys want
I also think just feeling very blessed with mess and many other of the, I guess, I don't want to say time consuming things, but the things that we need to balance just in the people that we're surrounded with. So if you ever are struggling, I think it's a great environment where a lot of people do feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I need maybe some extra help, or I need to maybe just pass on some of my work at the moment, because I'm a bit overwhelmed, which is really good. I found that just talking to people whenever I'm overwhelmed, or just like taking a step back and reviewing like what do I actually want to get out of my uni experience, and whether that's sometimes taking away from my studying and doing more mess work or going to events and stuff. I'll do that instead, because I know that makes me happy. So just relying on your friends, and yeah, just a bit of self-awareness. What do you really want to get out of your uni degree?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with Sally as well. Like, I'm sort of the person who will procrastinate if you're given like a really long time to do something. So I love having like mess events or just general like social events or sporting events or anything that I have, just to like give me that sort of consistency and that almost balance. Like uni work is a lot and it is quite tough, but I do need other things to do so I feel motivated to go back to doing work and stuff like that. And definitely talking to people about how you feel. Like Will and I are in the same class, and I talk to him all the time about how much I feel like I'm struggling or how much I don't understand the content this week. But it's just so nice to have people as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you guys, both Miss and Musa SOE. You guys did great answering a lot of questions, and most of the questions I think the audience had similar questions. So I hope they have already been answered. So now we'll be moving on to the last part of today's event, which is the Q&A session with the audience. So next slide, please.
Yeah, there's actually also like questions on the YouTube live itself. So I'll just spotlight questions.
Yes.
Yeah. First question: how do you balance your? I think this was answered already.
Yes,
Skip
this
that
was
one, yeah.
answered.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Okay, this one is also yep.
Okay, so this question is from Mess. What are the best facilities in Monash University, Australia?
So whether that be facilities to help you study, we have a whole bunch of help desks available. Maybe facilities actually just like amenities at the university. I mean, we've got like a gym. We've got lots and lots of facilities available. People ride their bike to uni. You've got like bike racks, got showers. Anyone else want to chip in what our facilities are?
Yeah, like at Monash Sport, which is like a sporting centre that's kind of like over across the road from most of the main buildings. There's lots of facilities, like sporting facilities that you can go to. There's also like this fun little games room that I would go to like every day in first year, play like pool, and there was like an arcade and stuff. It was pretty cool. But in terms of general facilities, like I don't know, it's hard to pick like what the best ones are because there's just like there's lots of really nice places to sit. It's a very pretty campus, and there's like places you can go for walks, and like the campus is like so big. Like I look at some buildings and I'm like, I'm never gonna go in that building in my life, even though I'll go here for like 5 years. But yeah, I think definitely the libraries would be up there, and like the buildings to study in are some of the best because they just are good environments to study in because I don't know, something about them that make you feel focused. Unless you're with friends, then you probably talk. But yeah.
We also have I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but like we have like a stage that's near campus center, and that's where we get all of our performances for Wednesday sessions. And Wednesday sessions are just having different bands come along every Wednesday evening and playing different sets. So we had like Teenage Dads come a couple weeks ago, and we had Baba. We have like various different artists that come and perform, and it's so nice to like walk out of class and hear some music, and it's like live music, which is also pretty cool.
Does this like do you usually these performances open to Monash students themselves performing?
Yeah. Oh, as in wait, Monash students doing the performance?
Yeah.
I think sometimes,
But in like
I
a
think
week, I think there were Monash people, but sometimes what they do is they get like somewhat well-known artists in the area, and they invite them to come play. Like the other day there was Baba, which is like It's like a tribute band to ABBA. Do you guys know ABBA?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had like a Queen tribute band as well. And
Wow.
Genesis Owusu came one time. So yeah, they actually like try and get like big or like, sort of like known artists if they can. But yeah, sometimes it is students. But yeah, it's cool. It's like a free concert. It's so good.
Cool. We just recently, Malaysia just like had a concert in the campus. Like it was organized by the music club, and so they had one of the local bands come. It was like their first concert that they've hosted in Monash, Malaysia. So it's pretty interesting to hear that this happens quite often in the Clayton campus. Not really concert, but like a band performance, right? Yeah. I guess for Malaysia side, like the music club does open performances for the Monash students themselves. So they have like open mic sessions and like, oh, anybody want to go, just go.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and just one more thing I'd add on. Sorry. There's also Monash Radio. So it's like a club on campus. And I'm sorry, my dog just came in. Monash Radio, essentially, it's open to all students. And there are people who can showcase their talents. Like, for example, we do our podcast there. There are lots of people who like play their own music and also like host a stream. It's really cool. It's available to all students. And yeah, I think it's a really cool facility available.
okay, thank you, Miss. That was very detailed and looks like Clayton does have a lot of facilities available. Foodies, you got free food, and for students who love and enjoy music, you guys might get the chance to meet and take part in some concerts. So yeah, and we'll move on to the next question from the audience. Okay, so the question is once again to Mess. How is the lifestyle in Melbourne? He just wonders what people do during their free time.
Well, like I'll just state the obvious. If you're like a Monash student like me, I'm going to a lot of mess events. But other than that, there's also lots of like music events and concerts that happen so often. I don't know. There's a lot. Like I play sports, so sports and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty general question, so I think we're struggling to answer it. But I guess we could talk about like personally what we do. Like, as Kunja said, there's a pretty big sport culture here in Melbourne, so lots of people play sports. And yeah, find other ways to get involved in their community. Me personally, I joined like a theatre group last year because I enjoyed theatre in high school, so I like made this theatre company and we put on a show. It was pretty cool. I don't know, apart from that, like exercise, people go to the gym. We have a gym on campus. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss. So we'll move on to the next question. All right, so this question is all right. This is again back to Miss. Do international students, is it easy for them to adapt to Australian environment, and are there any activities that helps them adapt?
So as Gunsha mentioned, we would recommend joining the Monash University International Student Society. Great way to meet some other people as well. And then easy to adapt to Australian environment. I guess Australia, we are multicultural, got lots of different cultures in Melbourne especially. But yeah, I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, but we do run, just in the university environment, we do run so many different events that hopefully it can appeal to everyone. And we just have so many cuisines and everything available that hopefully it might be easy to adapt to the Australian environment.
We do also have like a large number of international students as well. So like you're not alone at all. There are so many people in the same boat as you. And I know during our week there are a couple smaller clubs and student teams that aim to support international students. And they're mainly focused on, you know, what needs you guys have and like certain specific elements in terms of, you know, adapting to that.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Okay, we have another question from the Slido. Okay, the question is, can you tell us more about the shopping center near campus? So I think both Miss and Musa, you guys will have to answer. It's a common question.
Okay, I think I'll go first.
Yeah, we'll give it to Miss Musa first.
Because I think the shopping complex is the one thing that will attract like exchange students to come over to Malaysia campus. Yeah, so the shopping complex is within 15 minutes walking distance, and there's a lot of different restaurants and shops there. So if you want to try out like the Malaysian cuisine, I would say go there. There's like about I think 40 or 50 shops, like restaurants, different restaurants. So yeah, you can try out the food. Food there is good. What else? And the mall is pretty big too. So I think you can spend a full day at the mall without feeling bored or anything.
Well, if you come to Malaysia, you will notice that our weather here is particularly hot and humid. So, like, going to the mall is one way of our escape because they give aircon, like good, nice, cold aircon there. So we just go there to just probably walk around, enjoy the aircon, occasionally enjoy some snacks or whatever. Yeah, but other than that is people go there for probably just shopping for clothes or groceries, just eating.
Yes.
Yeah.
The closest one to us is the Sunway Pyramid Mall, and it's I think the largest mall in Sunway area. So it's like just 2 bus stops away. You can take the BRT, even the shuttle service is available. So yeah, you can go to Sunway Pyramid. It's a one stop for grocery, clothes, anything, entertainment, and everything. So yeah, Sunway Pyramid would be the closest one. But there's a lot of other malls in KL area as well, which you can go with your friends during the weekend or any days that you're free. So yeah, we'll move on to the next question from YouTube.
Does Mass have Australia campus have a shopping complex, or is it?
We don't really have a shopping complex. We have like in the campus center. There's lots of like food places, and there's like it's like a shop where you can get like Monash merch and stuff. I don't know. I haven't really been in there, but yeah, I mostly just go for the food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm so jealous about. Like, at least you guys have a merch shop or some place you guys can get merch from Monash.
Yeah.
For us, it's like, oh, like it's a seasonal thing. They release it
Right.
like, oh, maybe only certain parts of the
Yeah.
semester you can buy.
We also do merch like just for like mess. So for example, this crew neck I'm wearing here is part of our mess merch. So we sell like hoodies and stuff and shirts and hats, just because I don't know, it looks cool. People are interested in it. So yeah, no, we love merch.
Okay, yeah, that's good advertising for our mess. Do committee members get the free version, free merch, or is
No.
all right? So there's no perk in being a committee member. All right. Okay. All right. We'll move to the next question from YouTube. Yes. Right. Okay. So the question is, are the students easily able to manage the workload? Musa, do you guys want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think generally, everyone's kind of like struggling with the workload. but over time, I think it gets more. It doesn't get easier, but I would say you sort of adapt to it. Yeah.
Darlene, would you like to add on something?
Not particularly. I think it's a very broad question.
I think it was answered quite a lot. The same idea was brought out during the Q&A session with Mess. So, Mess, do you guys have anything to add on? Would you like to add on something?
I think I've just always noticed that, you might spend 5 hours trying to hash out something on your own, but it's maybe 1 hour when you go to like a help desk with someone with maybe a tutor or a lecturer. So there are plenty of resources available for Monash Clayton students, which is incredible. So I think when you know those resources, the workload does become a lot more easier to manage.
Okay, thank you guys. We'll be moving on to the next question. All right. We have a question. Yes, this is from S. Okay, this person has heard that from a friend that they can do double degree in Clayton campus. How common is it for Clayton students to do a double degree? And would you recommend others to do a double degree as well?
I'm just gonna go straight to it. I definitely recommend doing a double degree. I personally am doing a single degree and I'm only doing engineering, so that means each semester I'm doing 4 engineering units. And as we've all mentioned, engineering is not easy, so having a double degree gives you 2 engineering units per semester and then 2 units from your other degree. So it could be arts, it could be science or anything like that. And I'm sure like Celine will have more to talk about that. But yeah.
Yeah, so when I started at Monash, I was doing a double degree with science. And that was pretty good for first year. I did like chemistry and physics, and it was nice to be able to space out the engineering units with that. The thing that is though, when you're doing like a double degree, like as Kunja said, like there is the advantage at some points of spacing out engineering degrees because often they're quite hard doing, full load of engineering units. But the thing is, when I began my major in science, I chose physics, and it was really hard, and it wasn't really giving me a break from engineering units because it was just like, well, here's engineering, and now here's something equally as hard. So I actually ended up like stopping the science, and now I'm just doing engineering. So yeah, it doesn't work out for everyone, but like if it's something that complements your degree really well, or if it's something that you're really interested in, then yeah, like definitely go for it. And like just timing wise, like getting 2 degrees in like 5 years versus getting 1 degree in 4 is like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm doing a bit of a weird combo, engineering and arts. They don't really complement one another well, but it means that it's a huge break between one and the other. Use very different parts of my brain, and I'm interested in them both. So I could not recommend it enough. I love doing that double degree because it means that when I'm in my arts class, I'm really loving my arts, and when I'm in my eng, I'm loving my eng because I've had that break. So they don't complement each other, but I'm having a great time. A very popular double degree is engineering commerce. That's a very popular one for eng students. But yeah, what about you guys? Is it popular to do double degrees as well? Is it available?
I don't think Malaysia offers double degrees here in Monash. Just recently we had electives. No, not electives. I mean, sorry, minors. Minors here is not a common thing, but it just only started this year, so we're stuck with just single engineering.
I think there are some double degrees, but not for engineering students. Or some other
there's more of
faculties.
the business.
Yeah, more towards business. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We just have a few minutes left, so we'll be entertaining two more questions. All right. This is for Mass. What are the part-time jobs that students in Monash, Australia generally opt for?
Probably tutoring, I would say, is the most common. That's just based on personal experience and like talking to people. But you get a broad range. There's also like, lots of people working in hospitality and retail. But and there's also some people who, and this is usually later in the degree, but will begin doing little casual work for engineering companies as well. And that can often come as well from if they do an internship in, say, like their third year, then the company might be like, oh, okay, well, we like working with you, so we'll keep you on as a casual employee and you can work 2 days a week while you're studying. So that's something else that people commonly do.
Okay, thank you, Mass. We'll move on to the next question. Yes, what is a messy talk? So I'm assuming they were they wanted to know what MESS stands for. So would you guys mind elaborating on it?
So, Messy Talks is the name of our podcast. I'm thinking that's what it was talking about. So, when you have a name like Mess, there's lots that you can do with it. So, like Hot Mess, we've got Messy Talks, like we've got our Messy Talk TikTok account. So, we thought, let's make a Messy Talk podcast. We spoke a bit about the podcast earlier, but I understand it can be it's a bit of a weird name. Essentially, it's an opportunity for us to talk about engineering, all things engineering and how we can support engineers, and hearing from industry professionals. So, yeah.
I like how creative it is.
Okay. All right. So that is what's a messy talk. I didn't know about this before, so yes, I'm learning things as well. Okay. Next question we have.
Sorry, a quick question. Your podcast is available on, is it Spotify and YouTube?
Yeah, so Spotify, Apple Podcast, not quite on YouTube, but yeah, if you just type up Messy Talks, one word, please do give it a listen. We do have some listeners from Malaysia, so it's very kind that you guys are showing your support.
Sure. Okay. So yes, we'll be moving on to the next question. This is for MUSA SOE. What advice would you give to Australian students who are considering doing a semester exchange at Monash University in Malaysia?
I feel like the best advice would be to really try out the activities that we have on campus, because I don't think Monash Australia has. There's an upcoming event called Monash Cup, which I don't think it's like a sports day for Monash students, and I don't think it's available in Monash Australia, or that's what I heard about. So yeah, I would say try out all the activities that Monash Malaysia offers, and also join a lot of different clubs and societies.
Darlene, do you have anything to add on to that?
I guess it's probably to do just a very general advice is just do your research. The way that Malaysians, the culture here is very different in terms of how to treat or approach people here, because there's a very Asian mindset. Other than that is also particularly safety. I'm not. For me, I've never been to Australia. At least not when I am older. I've been when I was much younger, but in terms of safety, I don't think that Malaysia is on the same level as Australia. So you have to watch out for a lot of your belongings. Also, maybe just leaving your things around, or wherever you're walking. If you're a female, you can't be walking alone. Things like that. So yeah, I think it's just generally good advice to do your research online. I'm pretty sure that there are many resources for you to watch out for. But yeah, that's just a very general advice. If you're just talking about Monash Malaysia, then yeah, follow Brian's advice. There's a lot of events for you to connect and know people.
Yes, so just like Brian and Darlene just mentioned, if you're from Australia, I think you guys, because it's an exchange, right? So it will be one semester. So it's also a good idea if you can, explore Malaysia. Penang is a really good spot for beaches, food. Their food is really special in Malaysia. Also Malacca. So they do organize some trips to Malacca, Penang. Some clubs and societies do that. Also, you guys can get together with your friends and go there. They have Sarawak, Langkawi. There's a lot of places that you can explore in Malaysia. So it's not just academics. Do explore Malaysia because it is very vast. A lot of cultures, like a lot of things that are very different and unique. So do not forget. Don't miss out on exploring Malaysia, their cuisine and the culture. All right. So next question.
Okay, next question.
Right. Okay, so this is for MUSA SOE. Are there any other student clubs or teams in engineering faculty?
Yeah, there's actually 13 engineering clubs with one main engineering club that's overlooking that, which is MUMAC. So there's a lot of different teams, like engineering teams. Like some of it focus on building cars that actually run around the circuit, and some of it is more mechanical or chemical. There's also Chemica, which is a club focusing on building cars that are powered by chemicals. Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of different engineering clubs.
Aside from those car building teams, there the other clubs focus more on I would say industrial engagement, and also just some side activities of and like they get speakers on, have some workshops that they can help you, things like some various things like that, and also some visits to other companies, so it's like site visits and so on. So it's more like extracurricular events and things like that. Yeah.
So yeah, for engineering clubs in Malaysia, we have a lot of clubs that focus on your specialization as well. So they do have workshops where speakers in that particular industry, they come and give you an idea about what are the jobs that are available, your job scope, what are the requirements, internships, and yeah, a lot on your industrial site visiting and everything. So it will be very helpful if you can join some engineering clubs based on your specialization. Okay, we'll have one last question before we end the session. All right, so how hard is it transferring or exchanging at Clayton campus coming from Malaysia? This is for a mess.
To be honest, I feel like all three of us can't answer this question to its full extent just because we haven't experienced it. But as we have spoken about before, there are lots of different clubs and different teams that have, people experiencing the same exchange experience. And also, like, even your professors and your lecturers all understand if you're, struggling or, coming from a different unit or something like that. And they will be quite accommodating. But I think that's as far as we can say.
Well, and Sal, do you guys have anything to add on?
Yeah, not really. Like as Good just said, it's hard for us to speak to that experience since we all just came from Australia. So, but yeah, as we said, plenty of resources, opportunities, like part on our Discord server that's dedicated to international students, and there's plenty of clubs for international students at Clayton.
Okay, so that will be the end of our Q&A session with the audience. So that is the end of our session. But before you leave, we have our feedback form. So please scan the QR and give us your feedback. So this will be very helpful in our future events, in also our MUSA Connect for next semester. So we'll give you guys a few seconds to scan the QR.
I think it's next year, not next semester.
All right, next year.
Honestly.
Okay, so yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. So thank you guys for coming, and before you leave, do catch us on our social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, and Discord server, so do join and follow us on all our social media platforms. We'll be updating on all the events that will be happening in the future, so do come and join, bring over your friends, and yes, have some fun and enjoy your life in Monash, Malaysia as engineering Malaysia and Clayton as engineering students. So, yes, we have come to the end of today's event. Thank you for joining. Thank you, audience, for joining. And thank you so much for MES and MUSA SOE, the panels, for joining today. Hope you have a great weekend and have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for having us.